Come on, please. Yes! 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 Yes!
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is episode number 14 of the 9 Dart Podcast. We're still your one-stop shop for talking tungsten. Lorenzo and Josh in here for a Bunting Mental edition. Because this shirt is back, Josh. It is the 7 edition of the show, and plenty is happening in darts. We've got a bumper show. There is nobody in the room at the moment, but we expect Sean to come in and produce very shortly. He's making his way in, but we're getting underway so that we don't finish too late. How are we, Josh, though?
Yes, good, thank you. Yes, 14 episodes. That is crazy. I think when we first began, we didn't know how many we were going to do. It's just a trial and error, but look, we've stuck fat and it's paid off, and boy, oh boy, that was a fantastic week in darts, wasn't it?
It was.
Incredible.
The first thoughts for mine are never doubt the bullet. Stephen Bunting has had the dream weekend, the best possible weekend. He's won his last 8 games, at least on the main stage. Actually, 8 games overall, because he wasn't at the Players' Championship. He's taken them off as he prepares for the Manchester Premier League night. But all in all, it was a fantastic week for Stephen the Bullet Bunting. Here he is celebrating the fact he won his first European Tour title at the International Darts Open in Risea, beating Nathan Aspinall in the final. And of course, but even before all of that, on Thursday night, Friday morning Australian time, he picked up the Premier League Berlin title after 8 consecutive losses in the start of this year's Premier League, and of course, many losses going back to the 2015 Premier League, which was last in it. People like Robert Thornton and Phil Taylor had won Premier League matches more recently than Stephen Bunting. Yep. He got the job done over Nathan Aspinall, and then it was always going to be his night. Never doubt the bullet. He is back. He's now the world number 4, which puts, if he stays like that, he's guaranteed for next year's Premier League. Guaranteed to be top 4 in the world, at least as things stand for the World Championships coming up at the back end of the year, the biggest tournament in the world, of course. Things are looking up for Steve and Josh. What a weekend, and that's why the shirt is back.
Incredible. Yes, well, we definitely know now by 14 episodes in that you're a Bunting fan, so you were very happy, very happy. Well, we know that those first nights were winless, and we were, in our predictions, we had him for a fair few of the games, actually, which is the thing. It's not like we said that he wasn't going to win these games. He's just been disappointing, but now it's fantastic to see him get the Premier League and the Euro Tour win, isn't it? It's fantastic.
Yes, it absolutely is. And I reckon you could have known when Sky Sports began their coverage in Berlin an hour earlier that it was going to be Stephen's night.
It was a good omen, wasn't it?
They had 2 breaking two breaking pieces of news right at the start of the Premier League night. We'll get to the other one in the disappointing moments, but for our first crazy moment, Stephen Bunting, he hit a 9-dart finish on the practice board. It was better than he'd thrown in the last 2 months. There was no jerking, there was no awkwardness with the action. He was just throwing so fluently, and look how this was his happiest moment until the photo will get in the while when he actually picked up the trophy. We know right here that this boded well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, look at him. He's got the AirPods in. He's getting locked in. And I don't know what music was playing in his ears or if there was none at all.
It was either titanium or gold, I think.
It was his walk-on song. Of course, he's getting in the groove. But no, that's hilarious. I was just saying, it's a good omen for what was to come. And those 2 victories, I guess, highlights that.
Yes, absolutely. Stephen Bunting getting a 9-darter on the practice board and then going on to win the Premier League night. He wasn't the only one to do crazy things on the dartboard this week, Josh. At the Euro Tour event in his match against Andrew Gilding, Josh Rock did something that Stephen Bunting did last year in a particular Euro Tour match. Hit a 170 checkout twice in the same match.
Against the same opponent.
Yes.
Incredibly. Yep. So I put those graphics up there. And boy, did the crowd love it. Look at those scenes there. So
yes, it was a big crowd in Risea, particularly on the Saturday and Sunday, as usual, as we see on the Euro Tour.
And crazy enough, Gilding had 2 ton-plus averages himself, 104, 121 respectively, in a first to 6 leg encounter. He was up 4-3 at that time, and Rock had 2 170 checkouts in the first 3 legs of the game that he won.
Yes.
Incredibly enough. So, geez, it was fantastic, wasn't it? So, we love seeing big fishes.
Yes.
We love seeing
Stephen hit
darters.
one as well in his win against Labanauskas, I think it was. He in among his 5 match wins from the weekend. So there were big fishes galore at the weekend darts. They were reeling them in. We still Luke Littler's celebration still hasn't cottoned on as much as I thought it might have, but I reckon it will at some point. The big fish reeled in there twice in the same match by Josh Rock in his match against Andrew Gilding, the number 15 seed. Would, let me just get this in front of me, win that match 6-4, 91.99 average, beating the former UK Open champion.
Yes.
But we can't talk about we need to make it as much about Stephen, at least pack in as much Stephen at the start of the show.
Absolutely.
There is obviously the best story from the weekend's darts. Like I said, pointless after 8 nights. On night 9 in Berlin, he was 6-2 over Aspinall, 6-2 over Humphries, who we'll talk about later, 6-5 over Price. Price missed a couple of darts to win the match, 6-4, one at tops and one at tens. Then in Risea, 6-4 over Darius Nabanauskas, who was playing well. And this is the thing for Stephen, right? In those first 8 weeks of the Premier League, he wasn't getting many chances. But Darius missed a few darts at double, and Stephen took those opportunities, and then he didn't look back. 6-4 over Menzies, who we'll also talk about later.
Yes.
6-2 over Sedlacek, who had a good weekend. 7-6 over Humphries and 8-5 over Aspinall. It really was just a wonderful weekend for Stephen, wasn't it? And he got those opportunities and he played well, didn't he?
He did. Oh, absolutely. And some good score lines as well. It was in like 6-2, 6-2.
Yeah, they were convincing
another 6-2.
wins.
Yes, there was some really good convincing wins and then some really close ones, 7-6 over Humphries.
And heaps of 10+ averages.
6-5 against Price.
Near 105 against...
Good averages.
The Euro
very
Tour,
healthy averages.
especially on the Euro Tour. 104.91, 105.91, 101.95, 100.19. There were lots of really strong three-finger averages, and same thing on the on the Premier League side of things.
That's
as
the
well.
standard that we know he can play at his very best, and we saw that, which is fantastic to see.
Yes, absolutely, and that's what we saw at the Uber Eats Arena in Berlin.
Anyone hungry?
I love that. Yes, I will have lunch after this, Josh, but we will keep going nevertheless. Yes, very strong performances. He probably didn't quite get as good as the night in Berlin went on, but it was enough to get the win over Gurren Price, who made yet another nightly final. As for Bunting, it is the most extraordinary weekend, and now things are beginning to turn, and I hope that this is the sign of good things to come for Stephen Bunting.
Likewise.
We're going to do something we haven't done in previous episode, where we'll actually move the Premier League standings to after the best story. So after night 9, there basically isn't any changes outside of Price going ahead of MVG for reasons we'll get to later. But just look at the bottom there. Look at Stephen. He's no longer on naught.
5 points.
It's 5 points. It's
and
a
nightly plus. Win.
It's a plus and a nightly win. That's Van Gerwen hasn't done that this year. Neither has Rob Cross, Aspinall or Dopey. Now, look, the leg difference is still absolutely appalling at -19. But
he's only 8 points off 4th.
He's only 8 points off 4th, which sounds ridiculous. That's full first round wins now. He needs to probably do a bit more than that, because MVG isn't going to say, like, the cutoff point for 4th isn't going to be 13. It's going to be something in the 20s, which means it's still unlikely he gets to the O2. But all now it's just about week after week doing the right things, making sure you're preparing well, and then you're executing when you get those opportunities that he got at the weekend. And I'm still hopeful that Stephen can at least not finish last, which is what we'd like to see.
Well, if he hits a 9 dart on the practice board every week, then who knows? He might just win the whole thing.
He just might win the whole thing. He might win the next... how many nights have we got?
We're at night 10.
We're night 10, so we've got 7 nights left.
Plus,
7 plus the O2. So he might just win the next 8 nights in a row and take home the Premier League trophy with a stupid number of wins. I think this was all in Bunting's plan initially. He just decided, I'm going to give everyone else about a 2-month head start, and I'm going to come roaring back in the second half, and I'm going to be informed when we get to the O2, and you won't be able to stop me even if I only finish 4th. It was the genius of Stephen Bunting there.
Genius master planning.
Yes. Still last, but 5 points and 5 deserving points, because he probably should have had a win slightly earlier than he did. He's run into some great performances, hasn't quite had those opportunities. He's wanted to be in the Premier League. He deserves to be in the Premier League, and he's finally scoring points that I am jumping up and down.
Jumping up and down.
Yes. It was very exciting stuff that happened on Friday morning.
In a similar way, when we were announced that the Melbourne is coming to the Arts and we got those tickets.
Yes.
Similar ways.
Very similar ways for Stephen Bunting winning the Premier League night in Berlin and the International Darts Open in Risea.
Yes.
That wasn't the only events, though, we had this weekend, Josh. Players Championship 11 happened overnight, and Players Championship 12 is actually going to happen the night after we release this.
Shortly.
There is so much darts going on. And Cam Menzies won that Players Championship event, and we should also mention Peter Wright made the final.
That's good to
so
see.
Snakebite in a bit of form back. And Cam Menzies, after he's been talked about in debates in the darts world of late, has
last week even
put things behind and has come through and got a win on the Pro Tour, something we know he's very much capable of doing.
Yes, absolutely. I reckon a fraction unexpected, but great to see. Great to see. Yes, we have been speaking him a lot in debates and disappointing moments especially, which isn't good to see. But no, he has definitely sort of turned the corner a little bit and's got that victory, which is good for him. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So the win this morning was an impressive one, averaged well right through the day, and came through. There were a lot of Scots at the end there. I think it was Menzies, Wright, and Anderson as well. I think there were 3 Scots in the last 4. So it was a very good day for the Scottish darts players, and Cam Menzies was at the head of that. The positive surprise after a few disappointing moments of being in the news for wrong reasons. He's in the news for good reasons as he picked up Players Championship 11 with Peter Wright making the final. It's a very Scottish positive surprise. Someone who had a bit of a flop this weekend was Luke Littler. He didn't play at the Euro Tour. He isn't playing at the Players... no, he is playing at the Players Championship. He lost first round.
Yeah.
And he also lost in the quarterfinal, averaging just a mere 93.2, which, I mean, you and I would give anything to average 93.2, but for Luke Littler, it is disappointing. And lost 6-2 to Chris Dobie, who only averaged just about the same, but actually looked a lot better and a lot more comfortable.
Yep. No, exactly. Yeah, I watched the highlights of it. No, you're exactly right. He looked bit off and on. Just
I don't think the crowd weren't particularly on his side really. As usual.
No, which is unexpected, different. But no, it's good to see Dobie get the win. But no, you're right. Fraction disappointing.
It was. I did want to mention, even though I didn't put this on the rundown, I believe Littler is thinking about, at the very least. You know, he obviously hit that photos from the 9 darter he hit against MVG a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And they received those gold darts for hitting those 9 darters. Littler, Cross, and Humphries. They're worth £30,000. I think Littler is considering playing with those. I don't know if he has or is he's going to come to the Premier League this weekend in Manchester and to potentially use those, but we need to keep an eye on that particular way. Maybe that will improve his form. I don't know. But yeah, it was a bit of a flop. It was disappointing. It was good to see Dobie pick up a win after he's also had a bit of a stop-start Premier League, but he did get on the board. But a big flop this week from Littler. I'm sure it's a one-off, and he'll be back and revved up for Manchester, which is more or less his home event.
It is
this week. Now we move to the disappointing moment. We've sort of moved around this a little bit. We could have mentioned this at any number of points, but we need to talk about Bunting. We only had the 6 matches this week, not 7.
Yes.
When as right before we saw Stephen Bunting's magnificent 9 data, we got the news from Emma Payton that just before that Sky Sports went on air, the decision came out that Michael Van Gerwen had pulled out of the Premier League night as well as the Euro Tour event that followed. He injured his shoulder. Now, what I didn't realise, and Josh has put this up on the rundown and on the Canva here, is why exactly he picked up that shoulder injury. He was in the venue, he did throw on the practice board and didn't feel comfortable and pulled out. Josh, what was the shoulder injury? How did he do it?
Do you want to click the next slide? A shirt?
He was pulling on a shirt. And he did his shoulder.
Huh?
I've never seen the like, to quote Wayne Mardle.
Yes. Yep, so there's the headline. Michael Van Gerwen forced to pull out of Premier League night after injuring himself putting a shirt on. We don't know what shirt it was. We don't know what occasion it was. We don't know what circumstance it was. All we know is that he put on a shirt and
hurt his shoulder. So bad that he couldn't throw.
I'm assuming it was his playing shoulder.
Playing,
sure.
Playing arm. Yeah,
for
throwing
whatever
arm.
reason. We don't have any further details, but just a crazy, wild, wacky circumstance to be in, which, as a result, had Price having a walkover.
Price had a walkover, which meant that if I'm going to go back to the one of the previous slides, which had the table, that means that Van Gerwen lost 6 because it was
-6
a walkover.
on
He had
leg
-6
difference,
on leg
which is
difference,
gonna
and
hurt
Price
him.
had
Yeah.
+6. So now he's now level with Rob Cross, who missed an opportunity. He lost to Humphries, and had he won, he would be in the top 4 at the moment, Rob Cross. So he missed an opportunity there with Van Gogh and not playing. So MVG, the Green Machine,
right.
is still in the top 4, but he's in a little bit of a precarious position, right there on the cutoff, dropping down from 3rd to 4th, and so Price going past him, and really hurting the leg difference now. There's quite a chasm in those leg differences there.
It could hurt him in the long run.
Just look at the chasms in the leg difference. You've got -7, -7, -30, -50, -19. Then Price is +10, Humphries is +9, and Luke Littler is +37.
Yes, you heard that right. +37.
He's 37 legs in the black at the moment, Luke Littler, with his Premier League form and his 4 nightly wins. But Mike Van Gogh withdrew from night 9 in Berlin and the Euro Tour event that followed with a shoulder injury as a result of putting a shirt on. Michael did, after missing the Premier League and the European Tour, did show up for that Players' Championship event that Menzies won. He lost first round.
He did. Bombed out of the first round.
He did. So I'm not sure what his plan is, whether he'll go to the Players' Championship tomorrow. The smarter thing to do is rest up and get ready for the Manchester Premier League night.
In that article, he did mention that he hopes to be back for next week. So that's good news at least.
Yes. There's quite a few players that could be in a bit of injury worry. They were talking about on the Online Darts Live Lounge how we could have only 5 or 6 matches this weekend. So fingers crossed, Michael Van Gogh will be there, and all 7 of his fellow Premier League combatants will be there. But as it was, Price had a walkover win and only won the 1 match en route to the final in Berlin, which he lost to. Who was it, Josh? Who was it again? Stephen Bunting. That's right. Come on. Alrighty, let's move on. We've got another disappointing moment for you, and it sort of all ties in with sort of the debate in a weird way.
Going on for a while. We're going to revisit it again.
We spoke about the whistling after, was it Aberdeen or was Glasgow? It was one of the, I think it might have been Glasgow. It was Glasgow. Premier League night, that was night 2, where it became a big issue, and we seemed to disappear. And then from really the final in Berlin and then Risea, it reared its ugly head again. And Nathan Aspinall said this, I'll just quote him directly. Whoever is, this was after, I think, the loss to Stephen. Or maybe it was after, no, it was after a win. He beat Gowan Price, and that game was an absolute disaster. Hugh Ware was not happy. Whoever is playing, whether you don't like them or not, you have a better day when we're playing good darts. Stop whistling because it affects the players. You pay your money to watch good darts, and you're preventing good darts.
Spot on.
Which is 100% right. He's not wrong there.
A similar comment to what Ross Spray made in that circumstance, because he had an interview or some sort of message that I put audio on the phone to the microphone, and he said similar things, and just to kick him out of the venue. What's going on? Have they not learnt their lesson?
Clearly not.
Seriously. He talked about it, and then nothing's going on. It's like, as soon as you can pick him out, the crowd picks him out, see you later. But no, it just seems to keep happening.
It's going to be a bi-monthly thing almost at this point. It's going to be good for about 2 months, and then we're going to have 1 weekend where it's just really bad.
I hope.
And let's just hope it's not a final of a world match play or something.
When we go to the darts, I hope that doesn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
I hope not.
You and I are going to physically drag someone out of the venue if someone starts whistling next to us. They're going to go all the way down, and we're up on the tiers as well. So we're going to literally... Someone's going to get bang, 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 bang down the stairs and thrown out of the venue, out of John Kay.
We're still waiting for our media.
Yeah, we haven't got any media accreditation news just yet. Unfortunately, Josh, we're still waiting. Dave Allen, PDC, please come back and please respond. I might have to send him a second email just to sort of bump things up the priority list. Anyway,
I mean, also it is under 6 months away, but still, hopefully the earlier the better, right?
Yeah, we're still got plenty of time.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. We'll let you know any updates about the NZ Premier League at large and our involvement in it. We do need to talk, by the way, about costumes if we don't get media accreditation as well. So, but we'll park that conversation. But we completely agree with Nathan Aspinall. Stop whistling, folks. Now this is the fun part of the show, is always the great debate, and we've got a very interesting topic.
Yep.
And I'm still not 100% sure where I stand on this, because there's a bunch of different, I think, good points on all the sides. Luke Humphries came out the last day of the European Tour event, and he was talking about the schedule and how much darts there are at the minute. And I think he wasn't particularly happy with. He put out another post on Twitter saying he wasn't particularly happy with the way people had misinterpreted him and that sort of thing. And then Gowan Price also chimed in, as he does love to do, basically saying there's too much darts at the moment. Now, I will mention one thing that no one's really mentioned in other conversations about this on other darts podcasts. It's the fact that at the moment, the reason why there's so much darts is there's so much demand. Basically, every country, every venue, every group of people want to come to the darts at the moment. And unfortunately, there are only 365 days in the year, 366 in a leap year. So there really isn't enough space. I mean, if we had a 400, 500 year day, we'd be able to fit basically everything we wanted in and even give you a little bit rest. But before I have one thing which I think would help in this regard. But before I say that, what are your thoughts on? Is there too much darts, Josh, at the moment?
Well, everyone wants a piece of the cake in their hometown, don't they? No, look, it is a good conversation point. There's obviously two sides to the story, which we both have agreed and had a look at. From my point of view, I do think there can be too much going on, but I think it comes down to a weekly, even monthly basis, looking on the calendar per month and going, what events are actually taking place? Because some are more stacked than the others. Some are like even daily or like every couple of days sort of thing. But then some are like a little bit light.
Spaced out, yeah.
I think the distribution needs to be better, in my opinion.
So at the moment, and obviously we've got major events which are very fixed into the calendar.
That's true.
Blackpool right in the middle of the summer. I know this is going to sound like a contradiction in terms because it's England, but it is a beachside town and a holiday place. Holiday destination is Blackpool. Obviously you've got the World Championships around Christmas, and you've got UK Open at the start of March. I think, much like, funnily enough, when I was listening to this, I heard someone a couple of days ago, and what they said came into mind, and it's completely unrelated, you might think. But after coming back from watching a football match that is part of another project I'm working on, I was listening to Crunch Time, and Jared Waitley, fun enough, he was talking about holding the ball, and he said, "I reckon we can see what holding the ball is, and we can do a much better thing of it if we just had a blank canvas and started again." I feel like something could be similar with darts. If we just sort of had a blank canvas, but only had a few different very key indicators, World Match Play, Premier League, World Championship being the main ones, I reckon we could come up with something a little bit better than the one we currently have if we just sort of wiped clean and started again. The problem we're having at the moment, I think, is I'm not sure that 34 Players Championship events is sustainable. I thought 30 was nice. I did see that last year when it was announced they were going to 34. I went, I'm not sure. Too many. I reckon that's a bit too many because we went to 14 Euro Tours this year, and we may even go to 15 next year. And because, again, the demand is ridiculous. We know the World Series is important for the growth of the sport, even though it's not a ranked event. Mm-hmm. But ranking events, I feel like, absolutely need to take a priority. And they've done well. The Grand Slam a decade ago wasn't ranked. Now it is. The World Masters is now ranked. What I think the main thing we need is, obviously, because we don't get Christmas off, or I say darts players don't get Christmas off, from the end of the World Championships to the World Masters-ish, I think that space, which takes up most of January, needs to be completely blank, except for obviously Q School. Yep. That gives you at least a 3-week block where nothing's on, and that gives a guaranteed rest right at the start of the year, just after Christmas. I think that's the bare minimum that can be done. The problem is now you got a couple of World Series events which you might want to squeeze around. Even though, personally, as much as I was happy to see Bunting win the Bahrain event, I would be completely fine if we didn't have an event in Bahrain and Den Bosch.
Yeah, I don't think that's required. Like, I know you're trying to promote the game there and all that. I understand that, but I just don't think it's necessary. Yeah,
I don't think we don't need the Den Bosch one. No. And while we definitely need an Asian World Series event, it's probably better in a place like Singapore or the Philippines or Japan than it is in Bahrain.
That's true. Good point.
So it is interesting at the moment, given. But I think the main thing behind this is for people like Luke Humphries, given that nothing's changing for the rest of the year at least. There does need to be a bit more thinking about how he sort of manages his schedule. It's a very hard thing to do because if he won that Euro Tour event, there's £35,000 at the end, which is nice money for life and is nice money for the next 2 years on the ranking.
It is nice.
Especially given Humphries is defending a lot of money in the back end of this year, having won all those majors 2 years ago. But I do think you've got to really take into account a lot of the scheduling, not having to go to every Euro Tour event. And this Risea is a very typical Euro Tour event. This is one of the more staple ones on the European Tour. Bluglet is sort of the gold standard of this, of managing his diary. And the team behind him was very key in doing that, especially
Very
given
good
he
at that.
was a minor in the first year of his
Yep.
year on the tour. So it is an interesting one. Is there too much darts? Maybe. I think much like what I've been saying with the cricket schedule forever, it's not so much there's too much darts, it's almost like there's not enough meaningful darts. There's a lot of darts that don't really matter.
Exactly.
There's too much meaningless darts, if you put it that way. There's probably a few too many non-ranked events, or at least non-ranked events that aren't exciting enough. There's probably not enough it's probably not well thought of. The other thing is, you could go the complete other way. You go, you know what, we're going to throw in an extra 50 events on the calendar, but what we're going to do, much like tennis, is have like 2 or 3 events on the same weekend. So there might be an event in Risea, an event in Toronto, an event in Melbourne. And as world number 1 Luke Humphries, best player in the world, you're basically eligible for all of those.
Yep.
And you decide which one you go to, if you want to go to any at all.
You decide to come to Melbourne, of course.
You come to Melbourne, of course. So they're the sort of 2 extremes you could do with this. You can really reduce it, or you can really ramp it up. And have it a bit more like the way tennis flows at the moment. But even tennis, they get, I think, November and December is pretty much... anything after the US Open is pretty much... There's nothing major after that.
Yeah, true.
And that's the start of September. There are a few tournaments. I think the Davis Cup now sits at that time. But even November and December, there's not a lot of tennis on until the Australian Open and the Australian Summer kicks off right at the start of January. So we don't really have that in darts because the World Championship happens and then 2 weeks later, they're in Bahrain. So there needs to be a bit more thinking. I think that block between the World Championship and the World Masters is a guarantee. There should be nothing there other than Q School. And a bit more focused on ranking events, and almost like throw everything out and almost start again, I think would almost be better. Is that a fair take, Josh?
Oh, it's a very fair take, absolutely. But I mean, you just have to look at it from a board point of view of how they sort of do that. But no, that's definitely a good idea. Well, you spoke about, in contrast to cricket, about how they play some random games. Like I think there was an ODI series versus Pakistan earlier.
In October and November last year,
which was just meaningless. I'm like, if you look at the crowds, no one's watching it. And no one's rocking up because they're playing on like Tuesday on a working week, and then like Sunday on another day that's not relevant. Or you're not going to get crowds in. So that's a good example, but in relevance to darts, really.
Yeah. So we need a bit more meaningful darts that these guys would want to play in.
Yep.
And a bit more thinking of making sure that at least, ideally as well, after the World Match Play and so that month of August, having a few months off. The problem is if you block off those 2 things, they're your sort of World Series blocks, and now you need to work things around because they want to still come to Australia and New Zealand, obviously.
That's true.
So a lot of thinking needs to be done, and to Melbourne. Please come back to Melbourne. One day Stephen Bunting will walk on the stage of John Cain Arena. One day. But we will be there. But nevertheless, it is an interesting talking point. Is there too much darts on the calendar? Probably. The sort of minimum things I would do is go back to 30 Players Championship events.
Yep.
I'd probably not have any more than 14 Euro tours. Any new ones, I think, should replace ones that are currently in Germany because it's already the European tour. It's the half German tour.
It is.
We might start that as a hashtag half German tour on every post about the Euro tour.
We looked at that, I think, a fortnight ago and outlined that on there was a sheet there.
Graph.
Sorry, there was a graph there, exactly.
And it was all the German
flags. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the German flag about 6 to 7 times. And obviously the European Championship was the end. So so Germany should have plenty of darts, probably second most to the UK, but not quite as much as they're currently having. So what do we got here? 30 Place Championship events, no more than 14 Euro tours. Less darts in Germany, less non-ranking events, and at least 1, if not 2, sort of 3-month blocks of nothing.
Ultimately, more meaningful darts.
But more meaningful darts is sort of the target.
On.
That's what we're aiming for. All of these are aiming towards the target of more meaningful darts.
Yeah,
everybody wants to play and watch. Alrighty, that was a good discussion.
Very good.
We'll get to the future star now. I said I had JDC stuff, and I do have plenty of JDC stuff. The Power League returned. It was its 3rd night, and Rebecca Allen was this week's future star. Not only was she good on the GC Power League, as this one is running low on batteries, so I will plug that in now. She also won back-to-back Girls Series events as well as part of the JDC on that particular weekend. I'm going to have to squeeze my way around. Come on. Oh, no. Hang on. I won't edit this out. There we go. All right. Is it? All right, it's working, barely. All right, I've got Rebecca here and here. All right, so, was good on the Power League and won back-to-back Girls Series events. The 16-year-old Rebecca Allen from Ireland. There's quite a bit of different stuff going on in the JDC at the moment.
Yep.
What I really should have done is work. Yeah, so I wanted to go over this. So this is sort of tied to Future Star / JC Power League. So you can see Alan had a 4-0 win there. So this was night 3 of the JC Power League, which on the boys' side of things is got a 3-way tie at the moment, right at the top between Archie Self, Jack Nankervis, and Ryan Branley.
Yep.
Self won 5-2 against Jaden Walker. Nankervis had a 5-1 win, and Branley had a 4-4 draw. So that's where we stand on the Power League sort of things. Rebecca Allen, the clear standard across the boys and the girls. Also picked up a couple of Girls Series events. And there were also Advanced Tour wins with our friend Ryan Branley, who was the Future Star a couple weeks ago, picking up back-to-back wins. He, just as we started talking about him, he has got quite a bit of form recently at the moment on the JDC side of things. Also promising is the JDC Advanced Tour is expanding from 32 to 64 players next year. They're going to double the field as the phenomenal interest in junior darts across the UK continues, and they're just doing an extraordinary job with all these pathways at the moment. It's a brilliant time to now be getting into the sport, and the Advanced Tour is very much deservingly increasing to 64.
I love that last line there when it says the decision to double the field comes off the back of the phenomenal interest in junior darts and the increase in standard across the JDC tours in recent months.
That's 100%
That's
true.
Fantastic. It is so good at the moment, the JDC. They're doing such good work, and this highlights that by expanding it by double.
Yes, 100%. So the JDC Advanced Tour is expanding. Rebecca Allen is this week's Future Star, and we've pretty much flown right into the latest news, which is pumping this week. There's so much news. Yeah. We'll start with the ADC, the Amateur Darts Council, I think it is. The 2025 Championship Tour has been announced. They're going to Bradmore Farm, which is a fantastic venue. If you're not a subscriber to the Mission Darts YouTube channel, you're missing out on great content from Matthew Edgar and Andy Cornwell. They've gone there and done Bradmore Farm as part of the Rate My Oki series, which is brilliant. Then they're going to the Matoli Arena, which is where the World Grand Prix is held. That's in August. That's a very good darts venue as well. They're going to have a date at the Modus Live Lounge,
Grand
of
final,
course, and they've got the ADC Global Championship at the same venue as well. It's big times for amateur darts as well. We talk about junior darts doing well. Amateur darts is doing quite well at the moment as well. Yeah,
there's also some nice prize money along the board, as you can see. The top 8 players, when they go to Modus on the 18th, compete for a £5,000 prize fund, which is quite nice. Additionally, you've got per event, you've got good distribution for the winner. You got runners-up, semi-finals, quarterfinals, last 16 and last 32. Get a bit of coin there. Obviously, on the final day, the top 8 also get a good distribution of pay there, which is good. But no, there's going to be tons of events. There's 8 tour events across May and August, and the grand final, obviously, at Modus, as we talked about. So good to see that ADC keep doing some good work in partnership with Bradmore Farm.
Yeah, that Bradmore Farm venue has, I think it's, the size of it is massive. It's got 32 boards. If you're going to walk in.
There. Yeah. That looks very nice to play.
If you've seen the Rate My Oki video, you'll know you're basically always guaranteed to walk in and have a board available.
It's quite nice.
Great facility. It is one of the top-notch facilities there, and check it out, the Rate My Oki, if you haven't already. Right, so the ADC are doing well. The reigning ADC champion is Devin Peterson, and he is going to be back. He's doing great things for African darts, as we know, and he's qualified for the World Cup of darts, the PDC event. It's going to be great to see him back on a PDC stage after quite a few years away now.
Yep, he's been on Modus a few times, and also obviously a few other events in the African qualifiers. But no, good to see him back on TV. He's been very good as of late, and yeah, good to see him being welcomed back on the PDC floor.
Normally we talk about Modus Super Series at this point, and we will get to that, but first we did discuss last week about the prize money, and we saw Paul Nicholson had some thoughts on this as well.
What an interesting chat this is.
It was a very interesting chat. I had, we'll say, differing views to Paul. Did you want to play the audio, Josh?
Whilst I get it up.
Yes. So Paul Nicholson was talking about, they have the Tungsten Talk, where they basically talk about breaking darts news that relates to the PDC as much as it relates to Modus. And Paul Nicholson will play, this was basically the trailer. And I want you to note I have my opinions on this, but listening back to this trailer, and this might be a little bit unfair to Nicholson with the way they've cut it up. The way they've cut this up, it sounds like he's basically said two things which completely contradict each other. But I'm going to play the audio. Well, I'm not going to play the audio. Josh is going to play the audio. And just have a listen to this. Was Paul Nicholson. This was, to be fair, probably a little bit edited and dramatized in a way, or with the black and white. But this was Paul Nicholson. This was the essence of what he believes, though, to be fair. It's not a completely anti what his actual beliefs are on the prize money reshape in PDC darts.
People can poke holes in anything as long as they've got something to poke with, and it's usually a YouTube channel or some form of social media account. Help? You want help to be a professional dart player? Well done for making the UK Open. Win, and then you can have some money. Turn up for work and get paid. That's professional sport, is it? Poppycock. You want to turn up and get something for nothing, you're in the wrong sport. So if you expect to have a full-time job and then go to the PDC Pro Tour and succeed there, and you think you can have best of both worlds, good luck to you.
So he talked about professional sport being turn up and getting paid, and also said you shouldn't be paid for just turning up, which is sort of a contradiction in terms. My opinion on it is very different. The fact of the matter is it is only 128 professional players, and yet only about 64 of them are actually professional. Maybe a few more. The fact of the matter is that we have this sport isn't as global as it should be. People like Damon Hare and Simon Whitlock have to come across and basically live in England to give themselves any chance. And if you're not at the Heta or the Whitlock at his best, it's a very tough commitment. I think Matt Campbell and some of the Canadian American guys, they go back and forth. John Part did that in his day when he was a Premier League player, when the Premier League started. So, the YouTube channel he was referring to was Online Darts, Phil Bars. Jack Garwood is actually not going to be on that channel as much now because he's working at the Most Super Series as one of the top referees. And
very good referee, by the way.
Dan Simpson, who wasn't there actually on the most recent edition because he's had a very busy work week. So I'm in a disagreement with what Paul says. I believe that if you turn up to work, you just have to be paid. It doesn't matter what the profession is. The reality is that most of these players on the so-called professional tour are not professional. They do have to have best of both worlds. That the reason why it's not working for them is because then there are several players at the moment who haven't earned a single penny from their first 3 months of being a tour card holder. And I will note there are plenty of things the PDC do which I'm pretty sure is not strictly legal, but because it affects players who aren't being paid, they don't have the money for legal fees. So they're getting away with things which I'm not sure is legal. And the first thing you get when you become a tour card holder is you get a bill to join the PDPA. Oh yeah, that's going to be work. We haven't discussed this on this program, but
we haven't.
the Professional Darts Players Association is the most useless organisation in all of sport. They don't have any say to basically change. They signed off on the Euro Tour change despite the fact that most of the PDPA players didn't like them. So I don't think it matters much what the PDPA says, but you still have to be part of that. The PDC have given players contracts saying, "Oh, we're only going to give half the contract, but we want you to sign it anyway," which again I don't think is strictly legal. So
far from.
I'm not sure if there was. We'd probably have to go back and listen again. Paul would have a point if it wasn't for the fact that literally half of the professional tour is not actually professional. The PDC want them all to be professional, but they also don't want to be forking out the not that much amount of cash needed for that to actually be a thing. You should get 10,000 or 20,000 or how much it should be for winning a tour card like you do in the equivalent in snooker, or you should get money for just showing up. You'd have much less withdrawals. The other thing, usually the response to that is, okay, but what if you get someone who's just there for the money sort of thing? But it's the same with the markers who stand next to the referees. They don't get paid. They get paid by the PDPA, but their pay isn't as good as you think it would be. Again, under the idea, which is that you want people who are actually there interested in it, and not people there who just want to meet the stars, which is ridiculous. It's called the volunteer marking scheme, which tells you everything you need to know. So I don't agree with Nicholson. We need to make sure that all these guys are professional. We need to make sure this sport can be a bit more international. And the quality better. Because let's be honest, the 128 tour card holders, they're not the best 128 darts players in the world. They're not close. There are plenty of players who don't have a card. there are plenty of players who just missed out on the card this year, Bo Greaves, who are far better than probably about half the tour, and
Simon Whitlock, unfortunately,
and don't have that. Maybe even Simon Whitlock. Who are the best 100 players in the world, and I 1 to 8, but they're not in because of the silly way that the prize money structure is currently at the moment. And yes, well done for getting the UK Open. Your well done should be about £500,000. But anyway, that's enough there, because Josh is pretty much in agreement with me that there needs to be something.
65 to 128 isn't professional. We mentioned this
really
on our last... Well,
we've mentioned this about half of our 14 shows.
It depends on the guys who have been there for a while. If you've got guys who have been there for a while in the system, then okay, you're still there and about. But if it's a guy who's just come into the system, then you're not.
Yeah.
That's pretty simple. But he's sort of half contradicted himself by saying you're going to work and getting paid versus winning a game. That's not really how it works.
I might go back and listen to it in full and to see if he did contradict himself at any point. Because I didn't pick it up when I watched the full thing, but listening to the back, I went, maybe.
Yeah, interesting.
Anyway, I think we're moving on. Are we moving on to Modus now? I think we're going to talk fully Modus Super Series.
Well, ultimately, it was a very interesting chat and with Henry Deacon there, but who knows? It's going to be a topic to come.
It's going to be a topic for
weeks,
several years to come, I think, on the show.
Months, years, absolutely. But no, it's a very interesting talking point, and we'll keep going about it. But I think we've come to the conclusion through many times that as soon as you get a card, you should get
something
on the spot, because you get that lucky ticket that should come with some cash in it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting one, because obviously players got to live and survive, and by getting in that what the PDC claims is the top in the world, the top 128, you should be getting something in that lower bracket for sure.
Yeah. Given the other amusing thing was he was speaking of the Modus Super Series, which also pays you. You can not win a single leg at the Modus Super Series, but if you're in whatever it is, Group A, B, and C, you get money at the end.
Yeah.
But at the PDC, if you do the exact same thing, which is the professional tour, you get nothing.
Not sure how much. Do you know how much they get paid?
I don't remember exactly, but it is something. It is not naught.
Because I know at Champions Week they compete for £25,000. I know that, but I'm not sure on the individual. Can you talk about
Jimmy Van Ski while
yes,
I work
of course. Yes, so we have our confirmed influencer event for player number 5, Jimmy Van Ski. He played last week in week 10, which we'll get to shortly, but he's been a player who the crowd absolutely love. He's about 7'12" these days. He's an absolute giant when he steps onto the oche, and his head actually tilts in a way that's basically on the bullseye when he throws. And yes, he's a very good player at his best, and the crowd do love him for good reason. He's a very good guy, and at his best, he is very, very impressive. So he will be there. He played last week, made it to finals night. The result we'll get to in a moment, but he has been very good. Have you got that there somewhere?
About the Modus Super Series.
Yes.
I still need to keep looking.
No, it's all right. Well, I can move on then.
Move on. Sorry, I'll let you know when I find
yes.
something. If
all
I
right,
find
cool.
something.
Yeah. So we have our international pairs week, pair number 2. We have our Scotland pair confirmed in Robert Thornton and the big John Henderson. The Highlander. Yes. Oh, sorry, you got it or not?
No, not yet.
So they're the confirmed pair. Obviously, we had the confirmed pair of the Kenyan darts, Peter Wachuri making his return early next month, which would be good. It's going to be such a good way to get things under proceedings. When Lorenzo and I looked at this calendar of what we were very excited. Both the international pairs, I think they had a Rising Star week, I'm pretty sure, or something.
Yep.
So this will be very good. Obviously, they're going to be tough to beat when Hendo and Thornton are playing very well.
I can tell you that the winner on the Modus Super winning a week, I think, is like... Well, mind you, the first thing that comes up here is an AI thing, which tells me the event format is the grand finals of the best of 17 legs, which
That's
are definitely not.
It's best of 7,
Semi-finals, best of 13, quarterfinals, best of 11. I think you're getting confused with your darts tournaments there, Google AI. I don't think I'm going to find anything in the short time we have here. I might be able to come across that... hang on, this might be it. Well, this is from 2023, which might not be helpful.
Might be.
It's from a forum as well. Right. I'm gonna come back with that next week.
Whilst we continue to investigate that, yes. So Hendo and Thornton, they're going to be very good. They've been
this is going to be strong
for a while.
Scotland.
Strong, yes. They've both had weekly wins on the stage in Portsmouth for quite some time. They're pretty regulars here, but they're going to be very tough to face, undoubtedly.
Yes.
We've got some very interesting moments happened last week, starting with Brian Rahman. Wow. Bull, double 16 bull to check out the leg and got a nice little wink there just saying, hey, I'm still around, I'm still going. Have some of that sort of thing. It was against...
was Mark Dudbridge.
Mark Dudbridge,
the
he got that second leg.
world finalist.
Yep.
It was, I've never seen anybody bull double 16 is what we usually see players attempt. I've never seen someone go for the double to leave the bull on 1-3-2. It was a unique way to go. It stumped up everybody. No one really expected that, but 132 it adds up to. Finish on a double, won a leg.
Crazy. Well, the cameras definitely didn't look at it because I looked at it and they were going for, what was it? It would have been bull. Well, I think it was going to be, so after hit the bull, I think
it was they would have been expecting him to try and hit another bull or treble 14 maybe.
Yeah, I think it was around the spot and then it was just
the
wide angle because they weren't expecting it. So whoever was in the back, Owen Binks or whoever was there, had no idea for good reason, obviously, because you don't see that at all. Well, usually it's the 25 treble 19 route, but I personally like the treble 20 double 6,
which makes
but
sense
as you
when
mentioned,
when someone isn't on the finish. But if someone is on a finish, I wouldn't
then
recommend going there because if you don't hit the 60, you can't leave it out.
That's true.
If you hit the 25 going for the ball, you can still finish with 57. And
exactly. Yeah.
Which is why I'm not a fan of when Stephen Bunting starts on the ball at 1-2-1, because whatever he hits, 25 or ball, you've still got to hit a treble to leave a finish.
Yep.
And the most important thing you want is just, even if it's at the ball, a dart to potentially win the leg with your last dart on a sort of makeable out. Anyway.
Exactly.
But if you're not on a finish, you can still go ball at the start of the 1-2-1.
Yes.
In the same way you can go treble 20 on the 1-3-2. We'll get now to... was there another crazy moment, or were we getting into... No, we're getting into the finals results, or the results of Week 10.
Yes,
you've even added Group B and C, which
I've
is
done
unusual.
something different. Yes, we haven't really talked about who actually made the finals night during the groups in the previous episode, so I thought, why not? Let's get Group B and Group C. So, Group B, it's only 8 games since there's only 5 players in relevance to Group C who has 6. So Tom Sykes, Simon Whitlock and Brian Rahman made the cut there. It's the top 3 in Group B and the top 2 in Group C. Whitlock made finals night, which was good, which we'll get to in a moment. And Group C, Tommy Morris and David Davies also made it. Tommy Morris was great, had 9 out of the 10 wins with a healthy leg win there.
Yep.
And then if we move on to the actual results on finals night, we had 2 groups. Jimmy Vansky, David Davies, and Simon Whitlock in those groups. And if we go
Davis
through,
and Vansky very easily getting through that group.
Yes.
Whitlock only winning the one leg across those 2 matches.
Unfortunate,
so it wasn't
yes.
to be his night.
But also good to see him there at finals night. He won't be back at Champions Week, unfortunately, but hopefully we see him very, very soon. Oh, well,
in international pairs.
Well, yes, we'll see him there, and we'll see him in Melbourne in October. Of course, that's confirmed as per last week on our channel. Tom Sykes, Rahman, and Morris battled it out hard to make Jimmy Vansky, Tom Sykes, Brian Rahman, and David Davies in the semi-finals. Vansky got over Brian Rahman, and David Davies got over Tom Sykes 4-2. And the winner is...
Davies.
David Davies is your Week 10 winner.
Beating Vansky and Tom Sykes as your last 2 matches is a pretty impressive effort. Those are 2 regulars at the Modus.
Yes, had a 4-1 victory there. Averaged a tick under 100. 180, pretty good on the doubles, and just a pretty good performance overall. Gets the weekly win, and he will be in Champions Week, as we'll see with the updated table in just a moment. But we move on to Week 11, and your man is back.
We're staying alive. Steve Beaton, the former Lakeside champion of the world, holder of the most consecutive appearances at a World Professional Darts Championship across both the old BDO and the PDC, which is, I think, 34. He came off the tour last year. He was already at the Super Series earlier in the year, and he's back, and he's in Group A with Burnett, Evans, Eva, Heenahan, and how many other... Are there any other names that stand out? Probably not quite as much in the rest of the week, but Beaton is the big name in Week 11 after a couple of nights. So with one night left in Group A, Evans and Beaton standing at the top.
Battling it out for that place in finals night. If you're first in Group A, as we know, you make straight through to finals night. Evans and Beaton are competing it out. Evans being good 7-3, Beaton 6-4. And really from second to fourth, it is all even. It's all square, really. So anyone can still make it. There's 5 games in the day, as we know. but we will find out who will get to finals week and obviously the winner next week. But if we move on,
this
what
was
a
the
story.
exciting
This
moment.
is Connor Heenan
Heenan.
hits another 9 on the stage, his third 9 data
at Portsmouth.
And also, yes, you were going to say?
And his 4th on the telly because he hit one on the Online Darts Live
OG.
Lounge, which was the sort of predecessor of the Modus.
Yes.
And the first that was made available on Pluto TV.
Yes.
So this is the 101st, if you wish to count it that way. 9 dart finish on the television, with Littler's recent one being the 100th. So 60, 57, double 12 like the other ways.
The traditional route.
It's the traditional route. He's got a unique way he throws the dart. Looks like he's got whiplash every time
very
he's throwing.
I was going to say
he's got his mouth closed. It's sort of an interesting way to throw, but it works for him. And
broke.
He's now in it. There's not many people who's hit 4 televised dart finishes, so you're up there with some of the greats of the game.
He's
and Connor Heenan.
Very elusive club of people who actually hit 9 darters, let alone hit that amount in the Modus. I think Steve West has hit it twice or 3 times, I think.
Yeah, twice.
He's had at least twice.
I don't think anyone,
for sure.
no one has hit more than Connor Heenan, that's for sure, at Portsmouth. It's happened once, it's happened twice, it's happened thrice at the Modus.
Also a crazy moment. David Evans, 6 180s.
Which is a lot in a best of 7.
That is a lot.
If you're going a one a leg, almost one a leg, that's pretty good.
Yep.
So 6 180s is, and a couple of 140 pluses in there as well.
Yeah. Not too great on the checkouts, but
he had time.
On the other hand, Connor Heenan wasn't either, averaging. Sorry,
25%.
Checkout 25%. Yep, correct. And had a good average. Tick under 96, highest checkout 102.
And a 4-3 win in that match.
Very good game, very good win. So that's one of his wins of Group A.
And this is the recap of who's playing in Champions Week. Small, Walker, Spivey, McGurk, Robinson, Campbell, Colson, Peterson, King, and David Davies.
So 2 more weeks until Champions Week.
3 more weeks.
2 weeks of the weekly and then 3 weeks till Champions Week, which is very exciting. Playing for 25,000. I was going to say £250,000. That'd be nice.
Yes.
Paying for £25,000 as we move on to Lorenzo's update.
Yes, Premier League here we go. This is the spreadsheet matchups. We're always keeping an eye on who's playing who more often. Now, I have included Van Gogh and Prices playing each other, even though they didn't.
That's fair.
So we've still got quite a few 2s and 3s. The main 4s there are in the Littler row of he's played Cross 4 times, Van Gogh 4 times, and Humphries 4 times. So they're other ones we're seeing a lot more regularly.
Yep.
But there is still a few set of ones. Bunting Cross, it's mainly in the Bunting column because he's only played the one match.
I was going to say.
So Bunting's only played once against Cross, Dobie, MVG. That's it, I think. Van Gogh and Dobie's also only played each other once at the moment. So they're the big standouts. There, where things are a bit tighter now as a result of Bunting playing in 3 matches and winning them all.
Right. How
on
good.
The Berlin Premier League night. So we come now to night 10 of the Premier League. We're in the AO Arena, Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
Dobie MVG is supposed to be our first quarterfinal. This one could be a bit difficult.
Who knows?
Will Van Gogh even show up?
Will he
we
rock
actually
up?
don't even know for sure. Which is why I am slightly more tempted to head onto the side of Hollywood. Josh, even if he does show up, he's clearly not going to be in 100%. Dobie very easily could have it 6-0 if technically if it's a walkover, but I'll go 6-4 Dobie just to be safe.
Yes.
We're gonna do these predictions on the assumption that all 8 players show up.
Yes, given that. Well,
as unlikely as that might be.
Obviously, we did our predictions last week, and we predicted happen.
You predicted MVG to win the night, and he doesn't even show up. I was going to message that to you and send that to you. We're supposed to talk about it, and I forgot to mention that. You said MVG would win the night, and you put a curse on him. He didn't. He wasn't even.
I'm sorry. Okay.
The moment he heard that, he was so in disbelief that he tried to put on a shirt and tore his under.
Remarkable. Anyway, moving on. Dobie MVG. Yes, I think Dobie will get the chockies 6-3 in this one. I think MVG, if he rocks up and is fit, he'll put up a little fight. 6-3 for me.
Aspinall Cross. I am leaning more to the Asp, I think.
Okay.
On this particular occasion, I think he'll get up and about for this one in Manchester.
after having a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, he's had a good few weeks.
Yep.
6-4 Aspinall, though. But I wouldn't be completely surprised if Cross won this game, to be fair.
Yep, I'm going to go the opposite. I've got Cross. Again, I can see it going pretty far. I'm saying it goes the distance, 6-5.
Littler Price, is it rinse or repeat? We know Price keeps beating Littler in recent times. It can't go on like this, can it? In the words of that meme, it can't.
Could it be 6 in a row? Is that right?
It might be 7 even.
7.
I think
No,
we
it'll
are
be
at
7.
6.
Yeah,
I think
7,
it will
7.
be 7 in a row.
Could it be 7 in a row?
I think not.
No.
I like Littler just because I reckon the home crowd is going to be on his side as opposed to what we saw in Berlin. 6-5 though, I think it will still be close. 6-5 Littler.
Stuff it. History's going to repeat itself. 7 in a row. Price wins. We'll go 6-4. 6-4.
Bunting Humphries, speaking of rinse or repeat, he's had the win over. Does the great form continue? He's won his last 8 matches, Stephen?
Yes.
Or does Humphries, who was a bit lackluster at times, we spoke about how much the travel is weighing on his mind at the moment in the great debate.
Yep.
Does Bunting do it again? Or
Are you going to do it or not?
I reckon he is 6.
Okay.
6-3 or 4. I'll go 6-4. I was about to say that. I don't know. Well, it forces out of my mouth. 6-4 Bunting.
Okay. Look, the way he's playing makes this an incredible matchup, you'd think. But again, the Premier League is so unpredictable. But unfortunately, I'm to go against you.
We've gone 3 different ways here.
I know. Oh, crazy. Yeah, I just realised that. Okay, I'm going to go Humphries. Again, I can be close. 6-4 Humphries.
If this is anything to go by, back MVG to beat Dobie. That's the one thing we agree on. That's not going to happen. Of your semi-finalists, Josh, give me a nightly winner and a margin in the final. I need to give this some thought.
Okay, yes. I will quickly... Well, it'll be Dobie, Cross and Price Humphries. I think... Oh, man. It's so hard sometimes, honestly. It really, really is. I'll go Dobie and then... other end of the bracket, we'll go... Jesus, man.
Joseph, pray for us.
It's the best 8 in the world, or at least what the PDC
It is so
thinks,
good. It's so good. These matchups could go absolutely anyway.
It literally could. I didn't think
that's what makes it so tough.
Bunting would win it all. I don't think you did either. So
I just had him winning one match. Just to get the monkey off the back. But
Humphries
now I'm
on
tempted
the back
to
end
to win the night.
Humphries on the back end. So we got Dobie and Humphries, and the winner will be, I reckon, Hollywood.
You're going to go Dobie, are you?
6-3 against
All right.
Humphries.
I don't agree he's going to get past the semi-final stage. I've got Aspinall from the top bracket. Littler, sorry, not Littler, sorry. No, it is Littler, yeah. I'm forgetting who I even tipped. Littler, Bunting in the semi-final.
Yep.
At the bottom end. You know what this feels like? This feels like one of those weeks where Luke Littler has just been wandering around in the kebab shop and on the Xbox. He hasn't touched his darts at all. Playing a bit of FIFA. Just doing whatever it is he does. He's going to pick up his darts on Thursday evening at about 3 o'clock. He's going to throw a little bit on the board. He's going to get to the arena and he's going to feel as good as he ever been. He's going to get up on that stage.
Have a pizza for
what is in effect his home crowd. And after a very disappointing standing last time out, he's had the quiet weekend, not at the European Tour. Don't think at the Players' Championship events either. So I'm going to say this is the night. Luke Littler breaks the records. He's got heaps of weeks to do it for most nightly wins since this format of the Premier League in 2022. He wins 6-3 against Aspinall.
Got it. Interesting.
As much as I would like Bunting to go back to back, and he would be a good chance if he played Littler.
We've gotten a lot of different ways in terms of results, which is good.
So expect Rob Cross to beat Gowan Price 6-1 in the final, probably.
The thing is just so unpredictable.
And no one's going to average. No one's going to average above 100. It's going to be all one-sided. The closest match is going to be, 6-3 win to Littler over Price or something. Who knows? It'll be anything except what we just said. None of what we said will happen.
We'll find out Friday morning.
We
Australian
will.
Time.
The Darts Archive last
Yes.
week, we talked about the International Darts Open 2022. Gowan Price ended up winning this match. I think it was 8-4 over Peter Wright. This week, we're going to Barney and VG because MVG was away last week, so we've got to bring him back for the Darts Archive. This was one of the great Premier League nights. MVG won his first match against James Wade and broke the record for the longest unbeaten run on the telly, 44 consecutive matches, which is insane.
Incredible.
And in the last game of the
Prime
night, he
MVG.
plays
Prime MVG.
Raymond van Barneveld, who
Wearing
is
glasses.
in glasses, yes.
2017.
This was 2017. He was struggling with, I think, diabetes at the time, so his vision wasn't as clear, so he had to wear some glasses up on the stage. And this is a competitive game pretty much all the way. I don't think it gets any wider than a couple of legs. As you can see, it's 3-1 there. But it's much closer throughout most of the match. Does MVG keep the unbeaten run going, or does Barney break the streak? You will find out in this best of 12 leg of the Darts Archive. Now, Josh has told me before we got started that he is going to bring up something. It is the Rotterdam Premier League the following week, which is always one of the great events.
Always a cracking match up
So I'm expecting something from you, Josh. I've just been doing it under the assumption that you haven't even been trying. Please give me something.
He has carried. So next week, I know he's been doing all the heavy lifting. I did it like once or twice, and I just totally forgot about it, to be honest. But I will have it next week. So go and watch that on YouTube. There is the link there for you.
Yes, that's what it should look like. There's a couple of other different ones. There's one I found which has not even 200 views. So I think that one's got about 1.4 thousand. So whatever it is, it's only about 25 minutes. Barney, MVG 2017 Premier League Manchester best of 12 legs. That's all you got to get through.
Boy, oh boy.
Alrighty, so thank you again, Josh, for sitting down. Sean came in about partway through to produce the second half of the show, so thank you very much. 40 chat will be coming up right after this. We're probably holding up Woodsy at some point. It is nearly 2 o'clock, which is when we're supposed to get started. This is one of our longest shows, Josh. We had so much to get through. It was a Bunting Mental edition. Thank you for sitting down for this.
Pleasure, as
Fingers
always.
crossed Stephen Bunting has another big weekend
Could he go
in
back
the
to
Premier
back?
League. Could he go back to back
Find out
nights
Friday
and
morning.
perhaps get off last? That would be amazing scenes. The entire world will be getting around him. The big man is up and playing well, and that's what we like. European Tour event winner, Premier League nightly winner. It's all happening in the world of darts. We'll see you next week.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Josh. If we have any news about going to the Premier League night in Melbourne as media credited people, we will have that along the way. You and I need to sit down and think about costumes
We do.
in the event we don't get that.
If you have any suggestions, please put them down. What myself and Lorenzo should wear
Dress
if we
up
are
as.
in the crowds. Bananas or
Well, what we're going to do is
Elmos.
one thing we do have to do for that Premier League night is a lot of people go
They
and
do.
they mock up a sort of, what is it? A sort of noughts and crosses sort of thing where you cross off things that happened.
yeah.
So if there's a 170, you cross that.
Oh,
If there's a $9,
true.
you do that. If there's a miscount by the referee, you do that. If Michael Van Gogh's
That's
there,
fun.
pull up his socks. He does that often. So we could try and do something like that. Maybe someone will have that together. So we'll have all the latest darts news when they happen. Thank you very much, Josh.
I know one that definitely would be there. Whitlock doing this. with
Yes,
his
Whitlock
glasses.
doing
That's,
this.
without
Blowing
a
his
doubt.
hands. That's the thing he tends to do.
Yes.
So we
Cross that
will
off.
have all the latest darting news coming up for you
Yes.
next time. Thank you, Josh, for sitting down. That was one of our
Pleasure.
longer episodes, but I enjoyed it. This has been the 9 Dart Podcast.